Okay, so once you look at CSS Flexbox tonight, let's say I have the oh, let's say I have 3 divs like this. Then what Mr. Blessing will say, whatever I refused, maybe whatever I mentioned in today's class, Mr. Blessing will teach us more on it. So we have 3 divs here, and let me come to this place and create my style. On the style, I can say all the divs, let them have height of, let's say, 50 pixels, and let them have a width of, let's say, 50 pixels. So let them have the background color. Right. And now let's run this and see the result on the browser. Now we have 3 divs here. What I can do is I can just give each of them a margin of 10 pixels so that there will be a little space between them. So these are the 3 divs. Then, okay, I think we are cool. I want to put these 3 divs inside a parent, inside a single container now, in order to explain how Flexbox works. So currently, we have this big container. Inside this container, we have these 3 divs. And this is the result on the browser. Why is this? The first one is a bit longer than the rest. Okay, let me just say magenta. So we have these 3 containers, and maybe I want to adjust, instead of them being like this, I want them to be side by side. I can do something. You see these parents? All I need to do is to give these parents something called display flexbox. I'll give this an ID, and I can give it any ID name of my choice. I decide to name it parents. So since it's the parent of the 3 divs, so you know, whatever I do to this parent, now whatever I do to ID parent is going to affect this div. So let me start parent now. I can just say div parent. So I'm styling this div now. For you to know that I'm styling that div, let me give that parent background color of, let's say, yellow. Okay. Let's say I 200 pixels.
Hello, Mr. Tai.
Hello, sir.
Well done, sir.
Yes,
sir. What you are doing now in CSS, according to our prof, is what do you call it now? Internal CSS, right?
Yes,
right?
yes, this is internal CSS.
Internal CSS. So actually, you are saying that the external CSS is one that is absolutely acceptable. I don't know why you that the external CSS is what is acceptable, where we link the CSS for another file.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
File.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting me now?
Yes, sir.
So do you still be doing it like this instead of external CSS?
Okay. Now, external CSS.
Are you getting my point now?
That should we be using it like this instead of using external CSS?
Okay, sir.
Is that the question, sir?
Yes, that we should be doing it like this instead of that external CSS.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. This is what I want to say around that part. For the sake of conveniences, I'm using internal CSS so
Okay.
that I won't be moving from one page
Oh,
to another.
okay.
But
Okay.
whenever
Uh,
you want many pages to share the same code, oh, I posted something on the group this week and I called it dry. Dry, which stands for don't repeat yourself. Don't
what does that mean?
Now, this is what it means. In programming, you want to make your code dry. You don't want to repeat yourself. Let me give an instance so that you
Okay.
understand the context of and why we be using external, well, why you should be using external CSS much more than internal CSS, and also why you should be using internal CSS much more than inline CSS. Do you understand? Number one, external
Yes,
before
sir.
internal, internal before inline. Let's
Yeah.
first do that. Let's first quickly explain this so that I continue with the flex box I was explaining. Now look at this. Let me first try to use inline CSS. I will just comment out all of this. And let's say we have three divs here. This is first div, this is second div, and this is third div. I want the first div to have a background color of red, a width of 50 pixel, height of 50 pixel. Again, I want the first div to have a background color of red, width of 50 pixel, height of 50 pixel. So let's do that together. Style, background color, red, width, 50 pixel, height, 50 pixel. Let's look at this. I'll run this on the browser. If I run this on the browser, we have these results. Fine. Now let's now assume I want the second div to also have background color of red, width of 50 pixel, height of 50 pixel. That means I have to rewrite this, whatever is here, I need to rewrite it here, right? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What we are using here is inline CSS, inside the line. So we are just writing it inline. Meaning if I want this to be repeated here, I have to copy the code here and I have to write it here. Then if I want this third div also to have the same styling, I have to copy this code and write it here. Now we have this result. Maybe I want space to be between them. I can give maybe like we did the other time. I can just say margin top for each of them. Margin, okay, maybe margin top. The first one does not even need a margin top, but let's just do it like this. Margin top is, then margin top this, then oh, what am I doing wrong there? Then this also margin top 10 pixel, and we have our results, which is fine. This looks cool, right? But there's a problem with this approach. The problem is this. Number one, I'm rewriting these codes over again. It's the same codes here and it's the same codes here. I'm repeating myself. Remember the principle, don't repeat yourself. The problem with this approach is that if I wake up tomorrow and I want the background color of the three divs to change from red to green, then that means I will change it at three places. I will change it here, I will change it here, and I will change it here. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
It means I have to change it at three places. So I have this result. Any question? Okay, let's move on. So meaning that if I forget to change one of them, that one will still be red while others are changed to green. That gives us a problem because you might accidentally forget to change one of them. Imagine this is, you can easily figure out this because you only have few lines of code. But imagine you have many lines of code here, then there will be a problem here. Do you understand this? So this is not advisable. As much as possible, you want to make your code dry. Don't repeat yourself. Whenever you realize that you are repeating yourself, think about how to make your code dry. So internal CSS solves that problem for us. What we are just going to do is, I can go to my internal CSS and just use this. So I can now remove all of this. Now here I'm only writing this code once. That is, go to all the divs on the page and change the background color to red. Set the background color to red. So all the divs on my page, we have background color of red, and even the parents. Let me remove the parents for now. So all the divs on my page, we have the background color of red, and it's going to be like this. So if I wake up tomorrow and I want to change the background color of all my divs from red to blue, all I just need to do is to change it at a single location. So by changing it here alone, I'm changing everything all at once. So the chance that I will forget to change something is low because I'm only changing it at a place. This makes my code easier to maintain. Are we getting it?
Yes.
Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this makes my code easier to maintain because I'm only changing it at a single place. I don't need to change over and over again. I don't need to write codes over and over again. So let's run this on the browser and see this. We have this. So this looks cool. But then there's another problem. Let's look at it. Imagine I have another page entirely. And, okay. Let me save it as, let's save it as test 2. So this is test2.html, and I will call it second page. Imagine I have a website, and on my website, I want the content of this page now to also have the same styling as this, meaning I want the divs on this second page also, all the divs here, to have background color of blue. I want that also. So this is a div, and I want this to also have background color of blue. So let me just put text here, hello world. Yeah. So what do I do? With this current structure, if I want this to also have background color of blue, it means that I have to copy this. Yeah, maybe copy all of, if I want this page to have the same styling, I have to copy all of this, then bring it to this page. Like this. I need to write because that looks like this. So with this now, this div also, we have the same styling as this. The truth is this, when you are building an application, you want to use some styling across your pages. Remember, you want uniformity on your website. So you want some, in fact, for instance, this is usually common with button. Maybe, for instance, if you go to, let me go to my company's website. On this page, most of our buttons on the landing page before login, most of our buttons are like this, have this structure. So on another page also, you might see another button that looks like this one. Do you understand? You might see another button that looks like this on another page entirely. I think maybe I should be able to see that elsewhere. Okay. Coming. No. Okay, do you want to close the phone? Yes. Let me see if I can see another button elsewhere. Okay. can't. But then one thing I want us to note is this: when you are building a page, you have some things called uniformity. Like you want this thing to look alike, so that whether I'm on a landing page or on the dashboard or on another page, they look alike. Meaning that you'll be repeating some stylings, like you'll be using some stylings over and over again. Are we getting it? You will use some styling here. You want to use it elsewhere on another page. Let me see if we are still together. Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So in this case, I have to copy all of this, then paste it here. And if I run this code, it will work fine. It will work fine. Now, but there's a problem with this. The problem we have with this is that if I wake up tomorrow and I want all the divs on my website, I want them to have background color of orange, then I have to change it here. Then come back here to change it here also. It means I'm changing it at 2 pages, so that all the divs on my page will have a background color of orange. That may not be a big deal because we are only dealing with 2 pages. But imagine we have up to 30 pages on our application that I have to change it 30 times. If you have up to 100 pages, I have to change it 100 times. That is a problem. So external CSS helps us solve that problem. How we need to do now is to create a new page, a new file. And that file just needs to be a CSS file. I can just call it any name of my choice. I can call it maybe index.css. I can call it index.css, and I can say just copy this styling here, copy, come here, paste. So this is what I need to do. Just copy this and like this. So I've pasted it here. I can now remove it from here. Then remove it from here too. Okay. In fact, I don't need this again. Same here. I don't need all of this again. Now, all I need to now do is to bring the file in here. I can say link, then href index.css. Copy, paste. Now, I've linked them together. What's going on? Let me see what am I doing wrongly. Index.css. Oh, I'm here to save this file. I'm here to save it. Okay, I've saved this now. This is working fine. This is not working fine. What is wrong with this? Give me a second. Let me figure it out. This index.css with I. This is fine. Okay. So we have this like this. It's fine. Now, if I wake up tomorrow and I want the background color of all my divs to be, let's say, purple, I only need to change it at a single location, which is this CSS file. I only need to change it here alone. By changing it here alone, every page that uses this file, these changes will be affected on all the pages that uses this file. This, just by changing it here, all the pages that use this file will reflect this change I just made. So, do we understand now?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, the essence of inline CSS, external CSS, internal CSS is that with inline CSS, you're only limited to that item that you are styling. With internal CSS, you're only limited to that page that you are styling. While with external CSS, even many pages can use the same styling. Can we now go to today's class? This just like a
Yes,
revision of
sir.
what we've done so far. I know Mr. Blessing must have taught
We can continue,
us
sir.
all of this. Okay, now to today's class, I want to talk about Flexbox in CSS. Flexbox. Give me a second. Let me plug my phone. It's almost off. Okay. So today we want to look at CSS Flexbox, and you'll find it so interesting. Okay, I can just stick with external CSS then, since I've already created it. I didn't want to go through all of this before. That's why I used internal CSS at the beginning. So we have these three divs, and according to what we have here, this is it. You are saying the three divs should have this style. And I will come here. And we are not using this second page again, so I can move it in successfully. Next is this. Now imagine we have this div. It has an ID of parent, and is the parent of these three divs. By default, these three divs are arranged, or they are stacked below one another. That is, this is below this, and this is below this by default. But Flexbox allows us to change how you want them to be arranged. How you want them to be, and it allows us to. Let's look at what we can do with it. All you need to do is to go to the parent. Whenever you want to use Flexbox, you go to the parent and you set the parent. Now I can just say #parent. I can say display Flexbox. I have this. The parent. I'm setting the parent to display. Oh, that's what was wrong with my network. Hello everybody.
Yes, hello.
Okay, Zara.
Hello everybody.
Hello, sir. I hear you now.
Sorry,
Can
my
you
network
hear
just went off itself. I don't know what went on. Sorry.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So what we want to do is this. We have these three divs. Inside these three divs, we have a parent div. So
We're not seeing your. We're not seeing
Yes,
your.
yes.
Your,
oh, sorry,
your
sir.
screen.
Let me share it again. Can we see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. So we have these three divs. Inside these three divs, we have a parent div. This is their parent. So we can now go to the parent and set the parent to display Flexbox like this. By setting the parent to display Flexbox, what you are saying is this: I want to arrange your content. I want to arrange what is inside you the way I want. What you are just saying is the reason why we decided to give these three divs. Normally, they don't have. Initially, they didn't have any parent, or body was their parent. But just to make it easy for me to style, then I decided to go to the parent to give the three of them a single parent. So what I'm just saying is by setting the parent to display Flexbox, I'm just saying I want to arrange your content, what is inside you, the way I want. In fact, it would have also been the same thing if I did something like this. If I say body display flexbox. So what I'm saying is I want to arrange the content of the body the way I want. So these are what we have inside the body. These are what we have inside these three items. But the reason I decided to give them a parent and not use the body directly is because I may want later in the future I may want to add another item to this body. Maybe anything. It can be a span, it can still be a div also. And I don't want these new items to obey the commands I wanted to give to this body. I don't know if you understand it. I don't want this to affect these two new ones. By setting this to display flexbox, what you are saying is whatever you do here will affect the content of whatever you have inside. So if I set this to display flexbox, whatever I do now will be affecting the content, what we have inside of body. It may, and later in the future I may create new thing and I don't want that to affect them. That may be a bit problematic. So instead I can just give this a parent. I can say div. It will not necessarily be a div, just give them a parent. So I can now give this an ID or maybe a class, but I think an ID is cool for what we want to do. I can call it anything. I can call it maybe Taiwo, anything. So I'll just come here and say Taiwo. Like this, #Taiwo. So display flexbox. Whatever I do now will be limited to this div, such that even if I come tomorrow and I add new items to this place, it's not going to affect this new item. It will only be limited to the content of this container. Any question?
It is very clear, sir.
Okay, sir. Let's proceed. So let's remove this so that we are limiting this like a scope. We are limiting it to this thing. Whatever we do now, we only affect the content of this place. So next thing is this. We can now say flex direction. Oh, I think this should be the default. Yeah. Flex direction. Oh. So this is the default. But let's change it from row to something else. So let's look at this something else. Color. And let's see what happens. Wow, what's going on? I'm coming. What am I doing wrongly? Coming. Display this. I want to see if the styling here still affects what we have there. Okay, it still affects it. So let me check what I'm doing wrongly. Hide the style. I want to test something coming. The background color of this is not changing to yellow. Okay. Give me a second, let me check it out. I don't want to be sure. Let's use this to debug. Okay. So is it display flex? Display flex. Sorry. flex direction. Okay. Okay. I think okay. Is this flex? Okay. Display flex direction. Okay. Something is still wrong. So let me quickly debug it. So what is going on in our code is that, look at this part. This is where we have EUs and coming, these heights and width. Remember, we've already said that all the divs, this is also a div, right? Abina.
Yes,
This is
sir.
also a div. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
obeying that command. That's the issue we currently have. So maybe we can just change it to another thing that is other than the div, or we give these three classes. So I'll prefer to just use a class here. Class, maybe child. So we can now say, instead of saying div now, we can say div dot char. So now let's now go back to our flex direction now. Good. Do you understand what's happened the other time now? The styling here, or I can just even just say chart since it's still the same. So the styling here the other time was affecting this also, and that was giving us the issue. So what you just have here, let's come back here now. Flex direction, if it is column, it will arrange them underneath one another like this, but if it is row, it will place them side by side, beside each other. You might ask me that why is it that when we use column there was spaces between them? Who can tell me why? But when we use row there was no spaces. Who can tell me why? Let's go back to the code. When we used column we had spaces. When we used row there was no space.
No, yes, sir.
Okay, it's because of this margin top. You know, this margin top means that there should be a space between each of these and the top, whatever is at their top. So if you arrange them using column like this, then there will be the other will be at the top, and that's why we have this space. But when they are beside each other or beside one another like this, when they are beside one another like this, there is actually a space between this and what is at the top. We actually have spaces there, but it's not by the side. So instead I will change this from margin top to just margin, so that it will affect both top, left, right, and all of that. It will affect all sides. I'm sure Mr. Blessing must have taught us that. So whether it is column, it's like this, or row, we still have our spaces intact. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's proceed. We have flex direction row. We also have row reverse. Now you may not be able to see this row reverse. Okay, it's even so evident. Can we see that it has moved this from this place to this place? Then we also have, for you to get this row reverse very well, allow me to quickly use inline styling to differentiate this two from one another. Background color, I will say you should be red. Style, you should be yellow. Background color, This should be yellow. Style, background color, this should be green. So that we can understand which one comes first. Now this red now is now the first one here because it is starting from this edge. Do we understand?
Yes.
Okay. So we also have the column reverse. You can use it too. Which start from the bottom. Column reverse. So do we notice that the red, which happens to be the very first here, is now at the bottom. Is now at the bottom. So that is the flex direction. So with just a single or with just two lines now, I'm able to arrange the content of this div the way I want. And all I need to do is to make changes to their parent, and that parent now will be the one to tell the children whatever, I mean the content now, how they should stack themselves. Let's proceed. So we also have something called justify content. Note that in all of this, I'm not touching the children. I'm only touching the parents, and the parent is dictating how the children should arrange themselves. That's why I told us the other time that I won't be doing that directly on the body because it will affect all the children of the body. So in order to stop that from happening, I just decided to put all of this inside the container. Then I'm now styling that container. That automatically affects the children, their content. Next, we have something called justify content. Justify content. Let's discuss what justify content means. Justify content. Now, we have to understand what justify content means. You need to explain two things. Number one, main axis. Number two, cross axis. Main axis and cross axis. Now, in mathematics, we need y-axis and an x-axis, right? The y and the x. The y is like this, like vertical, while the x is horizontal. But in this case, main axis and cross axis changes is not constant. In this case, according to what we want to learn now, main axis and cross axis, they change. They are not constant things. Meaning that main axis can be y-axis now, and next it will be x-axis again. I will explain why it's like that. Look at something. How we set this to pro, and I will comment this justify content. Now, this is arranged this is arranged horizontally now, and that is the main axis. This is the main axis now. The main axis is like the default way it should arrange itself, or the content of that item should arrange themselves. Again, the main axis is like the default. In this case now, the default is for them to arrange themselves horizontally. So that horizontal line is the main axis. If I change this from row to column, then this is the main axis. The vertical part, the vertical line is the main axis now. Do we understand this now? Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Okay. So if this is row, then the main axis is the horizontal line. If this is column, the main axis is the vertical line. If this is row reverse, the main axis is this horizontal line, like just that you are starting from the end. While if this is column reverse, the main axis, if this is like this, oh, have I said this? Yes. So here is the main axis. I just want us to understand that the main axis is not something constant. Like, I don't want us to believe maybe the main axis is y-axis or is x-axis. No, the main axis is going to be dependent on the value of this flex direction. This flex direction determines the main axis. Any question? Any question? Do we understand?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's proceed. Next thing is, this justifying content only affects the main axis. It tells CSS how to arrange the content on the main axis. While another one is what we call align items. Align items. I think align items is like this. This one tells CSS how to arrange the content on the cross axis. What is cross axis? I said if the y-axis is the main axis, then the x-axis will be the cross axis. And if the x-axis is the main axis, then the y-axis will be the cross axis. So one of them will be main axis, while the other one will be the x-axis. Let's proceed. So I can say arrange this. Justify content, remember, this affects the main axis. Space around. So space them around on the main axis. On the main axis. So this is not giving us much difference. If you understand this, let me change this from this to row now. Good. It's trying to ensure that this thing they cover the whole width on the main axis. Justify content tells them how to arrange themselves on the main axis. Let's proceed. Aside space around, I can say space between this. The way space between works is this. If you put one at the edge and this here, while other items try to try to occupy the distance from the beginning to the end. What I mean is this. Imagine we have 4 items here instead of 3. Imagine we have 4 items here. I can just remove this one so that we differentiate this. This one should be purple. So one is at the beginning, one is at the end. The others are just trying to share the spaces between the beginning and the end equally. Do you understand? One will be placed at the beginning, one at the end. While those ones at the middle, they are trying to share the spaces now equally. Why space between on the other hand? Why space around on the other hand? Try to share the whole space. The space here is half of the space here. The space here, like the space here to this place, is the same as the space here to this place. It's the same as the space between this place to this place. But half of this space is what we have here. Half of the space also is what we have here. You're just trying to ensure that they occupy the space very well. How do I say it? Instead of placing one at the beginning and one at the end and try to show others in between, how this one does is, or how it works is that you try to ensure that they share it equally as much as possible. Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we also have we can use the center. Yes, I think we can use the justify content. I think center. So that they will be at the middle, like this. Will be at the middle like this. Then which other one? Space between. Well, if there's another one I didn't mention, Mr. Blessing will explain more on that. He will explain more on that. Any question on justify content?
I have a question, sir.
You said?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. In a situation that probably wants to make a nav,
You want to?
and we have a logo, nav,
Okay.
like navigation. Yeah. We have a logo, and immediately after the logo, we have a word beside it.
Okay.
Okay. So after in my HTML page,
Okay.
after inserting the image, like writing on the image, and I want to write about the word immediately after the logo, am I
Okay.
going to put it in a paragraph?
No, you can. No, okay. Immediately after the logo, you can put it in a span.
Okay.
That should work fine.
Okay, span.
Yes, you can put it in a span.
In a span. Alright. Then
Okay, I also remember
Hello,
you can use.
hello, sir.
Hello,
Hello,
sir.
sir. Sorry, sir. Please take me to the output here exactly. So
The
I want this four where you are now.
yes, sir.
I want this four color now to shift to the right hand side as if that as if that the left hand side there's a logo here, and this first one is maybe maybe what you call it now product. This one is service. Let it be on the right hand side, on the top where they are now, on the right hand side. Let's shift to this side. How do you do it?
You want these ones, this red and yellow, to
Yes.
change to the right hand side.
No.
Alright, left hand side.
Yellow,
Okay.
red, yellow, green, and purple. Let's move to the right hand side.
Okay. Red,
Yes, like this.
yellow, green, and purple. All of them.
With
You want them to move to the right
yes,
hand side.
that's as if it's it's another link to
Okay.
click navigating bar. Just as navigating bar is up there.
Okay.
As we do it, and the gap between them should be wider more than this I'm seeing. So
Okay. Alright. So we look at that now. Now, I want us to quickly talk about one more. We also have the space evenly. Look at this. I will quickly solve the task now. But I want us. We've looked at space between. I want to look at the difference between space between and space evenly. Oh, sorry. This space between and space around. Sorry. And space evenly. Look at this space. The space here is not the same as the space here. But space evenly solves that. Maybe you want them to have the same spaces. Space evenly. Why is it not changing it? Okay. So the gap here is the same as the gap here, the same as the gap here, and the same as the gap here, and the same as the gap here. Do you understand that one? Now, to the
yes,
question
sir.
you asked, then you said all of them should move to this side. We can just do something like
Yes,
this.
yes.
Um, flex end. So they move to the end of the flex, like this.
Okay, okay.
We also have flex
Left end.
stats. Flex stats. All of them at the beginning, like this.
Okay.
Sister
Okay.
Moji, you asked the question the other time.
yes, sir.
What's the question, ma?
Yeah, I said in the situation that we have a logo in a navigation bar,
Okay,
and beside the logo we have a word written
okay,
Okay.
beside it. After inserting the logo in HTML page, it will appear on our browser. So I'm now talking about the word in between, because I noticed that when putting that word in a HTML page, a paragraph element is going down, like at the bottom of the logo on my browser.
okay. I
You
think you should be able to
understand?
use line height to solve that. Yes, line height.
Line height.
Yes,
Oh,
because it's moving up to the bottom. Line height should be able to help you solve that.
all right, sir.
Now, let's
So
before
can I
we
still use paragraph element for the word on my
no
HTML
paragraph.
or
It's
span?
not advisable for you to use paragraph in navbar.
Sir?
It's not advisable that you use paragraph in a navbar.
Okay, okay.
So that's why I suggested you use span or maybe even the but using paragraph at the navbar it looks absurd.
It's breaking, sir. I can't hear you.
You said?
It's breaking. I can't hear you very
Okay,
well.
I think this thing like this. So let me try to mute and start. So can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So using paragraph at the navbar looks absurd somehow. Why you may make it work? It's not cool at all. It's not cool. Okay.
Okay.
So you can use a
So you
span.
can use a
Yes, I think span should
span.
help you do
Yes, I
that.
think span should help you do that.
And
Okay.
you will use line height with
You
it.
use line
That should
height
solve
with
the
it.
problem.
That will solve the problem.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Now, let
Now,
me quickly show us something before. Okay, when we are done with our line items, then we'll do a little thing together before I give us an assignment to work on. We have the align items. Remember I told us that this justify content tells CSS how to arrange things on the main axis. The line align items on the other hand tell CSS how to arrange it on the cross axis. So if one is the main axis, let's assume the y axis is the main axis, you know that the x is the cross axis, and if the uh, x axis is the main axis, then the y is the cross axis. Do we understand that part?
Yes.
Okay. So we can also say align items, maybe you can say space between. Now this may not have an effect directly. Reason is this. Now that's because you only have one space like this. How do I explain it? Let me ensure that this thing is so much that it's like it moves to the next row. Like this is one row. Let's assume it moves to another row so that you have about 2-3 rows, then you understand this thing better. Let me see what I can quickly do to make it move to the next row. I can use flex, see flex common. So that you understand it, because there may be some situation whereby you need to move things between this. For the sake of our time, I will do something instead. I will change this from row to column, so that our main axis now has now changed to cross axis, and cross axis has now changed to main axis. Do we understand now? Do we get
Yes,
it?
sir.
So that our main axis has now changed to cross axis, then cross axis has changed to main axis. So align items. These align items now tell CSS how to arrange it on the cross axis. So we now know that the x axis, that is the horizontal line, is now the cross axis. This space between is now going to affect that. So I'm coming. Oh, still not even. Okay, let me say center. Hello everybody.
Yeah, with you,
yeah,
sir.
with you, sir.
So let's say center.
Let's say center.
It has moved to the center. We know that the x-axis now is now the cross axis, Abi. It's now the cross axis. That's why it moved everything to the center along the x-axis, not along the y-axis. If it's along the y-axis, it's going to bring them together, something like this. I will come here and say, imagine this is center. And see the results we have. Okay, it's not. I expect it to even gather them together and group them together inside a single container. Like you only see one. That's what I was expecting it to do. To put them on top of each other so that you only see one of them. Okay, but that is not okay. So what I want us to notice, this is along the cross axis. Why this is along the main? As you can use the space in between and all of that. Everything that we use under justify content can also be used here. But I want us to look at an example that will be able to use this very well. I'm coming. Like I said, these parts, I was just told I'll be taking this today, this evening, not even just today. Maybe you are 30 minutes before the class. Mr. Blessing was unavoidably absent. Sorry, 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 sorry. I want to look at what else can we use? We can use flex up. Yes, we can use flex up. Flex up, and I can use that. So this flex up, what it does is this: if it's so much that it can't contain that single line, it will break to the next line. It allows you to. But if it is no wrap, no wrap like this, if it's so much that it shouldn't, like if it's so much that it shouldn't be on the same line, it, instead of it to break to the next line, it's not going to break. It will still maintain that line. Let's look at an example together so that you understand this very well. Let me change this back to row. Then just say justify content space between, and run this and browser. Okay, so increase this width and let us make them so big. I can say 500, 500, something like this. Okay, you can just increase only the width and leave the height as 50. Width. Let us now add. Okay, good. Look at this. This is no wrap. So instead of it to break to the next line, it's not breaking. But if it is wrap, can you see that it has broken this thing to two lines? Do we understand the difference? Hello, everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. This now allows us to do something.
Now allows us to do something.
These align items now.
These align items now.
Uh, maybe space evenly. Remember, this is along the cross axis. Since it is row, the main axis is the horizontal line, and the cross axis is the vertical line. So we can now use space evenly to arrange them on the vertical line. Coming, space evenly, space between. Why is it not allowing us to do that? Should take this. What's going on? Sorry.
Okay.
So I want to bring on these commands. Let me just copy all of this. Okay. Space evenly, space between. Oh, okay. But this is not affecting it. I will look into why this is not affecting. I expect it to affect it along the cross axis, but it's not working. So I will look into the reason why it's not working. But the summary of all of this is that the justify content arranges items on the main axis, while the align items arranges items on the cross axis. So when you want, and we know how to differentiate between main axis and cross axis, the flex direction helps us to identify the main, or to differentiate the main axis from the cross axis. Then we also look at the flex wrap. The flex wrap, if it's under wrap, it means you are permitting it to break to the next line if it's too much. But if it is no wrap, if you try to squeeze itself to occupy the space, even though that space is not enough, all of them will still force themselves to occupy the space. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before we
Yes,
go
sir.
out,
So before we go out,
yes,
Hello, sir.
yes, sir. I will hear, sir.
Okay, it's just a question. I'm not sure if it exists. Is there anything like flex overlay? Like, I don't know if I'm just asking.
Flex overlay. I don't think so.
Whereby, okay,
I don't
okay,
think so, sir. Thank you, sir. I
okay.
don't think so. Now, I want us to look at something before we go. What I want us to do is the assignment that we give us, you will most likely need this to solve the assignments, and that's why I want us to look at it together. Look at this scenario. Imagine I have items like this. A, I have B, then I have C and D. Note this, look at the difference. I have A here, I have B here, I have C here, I have D here. I want to use CSS to produce these results. Let's assume A, B, C, D, there are 4 different divs or different containers or different items. Assume this is, we want to achieve this, A, B, C, D, or maybe A, B, C, D, E, like this. Because a lot of nav bars are like this. This can be a logo, this can be the company's name, and this can be maybe about us, contact us, and maybe whatever, any other thing you want it to say. Do you understand? This is A, B, then C, D, E. Let's start to achieve this result using CSS Flex before we go. So, how we comment all of this out and just focus on that part. Number 1, put all of them inside a single container. I can call this ID parent. Then let's say I have 5 spans. This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and this is E. So I want to arrange these 5 items so that they all become like this. A, B will be together, C, D will be together at one end. So let's first do this. Let's send this on the browser and see how they look like. At the beginning, all of them are like this. Let's move on. Why is it repeating A, B, C, D again? Okay, this and this, yeah. So all of them are together here like this. Next, let's put A and B together and C, D to move to this edge. So what we're going to do is this A and B, I'll put them inside another parent. I can use a div, I can use a span, whichever one I want to. I can say maybe, I think, yeah, a span is fine. Span. Then I will now cut this A and B and put them inside this span. Then C, D, and E, since they are all together also, I can put them inside another span. You will understand the significance of doing this now. Now, on the browser, you won't see any reasonable changes. You won't see any reasonable changes. And it's as though I've done nothing. But this is very important. Look at this. I can now give this span. Let me give this one an ID code first. And give this an ID code second. So I can go to the parent. Remember, this is the parent. And whatever I do to the parent is going to tell CSS how to arrange the children. This parent only has 2 children. Like again, this one with ID of parent, this div only has 2 children. This is the first child, and this is the second child. Don't be confused. It doesn't have 5 children. No, these are grandchildren. This parent only has 2 children. This is the first child, and this is the second child. Now, the first child now has 2 children, and the second child has 3 children. Are we following?
Yes.
Okay. So let's now go to the parent and tell the parent how to arrange his children. When I say arrange his children, it only tells these 2 children. It doesn't affect the grandchildren. Again, what I want to do, we only affect the children and not the grandchildren. So we are going to say, I can comment out all of this now and say parent parent display flex, then flex direction help us to arrange them in rows. So let's first still like this, maybe not. Then we can now say justify content. Remember, justify content is how it's going to arrange it on the main axis. And since this is the row now, it's also the main axis. The x-axis now is the main axis. We can say space between. Space between, remember, is to put one at the beginning and one at the end. The other things will be between. So we have one at the beginning and one at the end because it only has two children. Are we following? Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So one
Yes.
is at the beginning
Okay.
and one is at
So
the
one is at
end.
the and one is at the end.
That's why I put them inside
That's
two new parents.
Why I put them inside two new parents.
Because if they were to be like this, if these parents were not there, if these five of them were directly inside parent, it's going to arrange these five of them
Directly inside
like
parents.
this.
It's going to arrange this five of them like this.
Do we understand?
Do you understand?
Show you one.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Show you one.
It would have arranged them like this. Thank you, man. It would have arranged them like this. But by putting them inside a new parent now, and I know that whatever styling we put, or when we say this, space between, it only affects the children, and this only has two children. I think this has given us what we want. You can just give this a little margin, each of this a little margin, and that should solve the problem. Something like this. I'm just trying to show us. Then I can also come here again. I can come to this place and say arch, maybe first. I can still use display flex. This one also, we tell this first how to arrange its own children also. So that is, you are telling first how to arrange these two. I can say now, these two, flex direction. Well, I want it to be column now instead of row. So these two will be placed beneath. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
You are telling it how to
Yes,
arrange
sir.
this.
You are telling how to arrange this.
If I want to tell this one also to arrange them beneath, I will come here again and say second display flex direction column. I can also use my justify content, display items, styles if I want to arrange them horizontally or vertically, main axis, cross axis, and all of that. But you'll be doing things like this a lot while working with this flex. Maybe you may have to create a new parent because you want to change the arrangement and all of that. So, any question? Now, what I've just done is just to, should I say, introduce or to tell you how much, as much as I understand it. But I tell you, when Mr. Blessing comes to class, Prof comes to class, he's going to teach you better than I've done, much better than this. And is going to go deeper into flex. He will go deeper into heat, and you will enjoy heat even more. Any question? Did you enjoy today's class?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Let me
much.
stop recording.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Cotton.
Yes.
Our assignments, yes, good. Our assignments.
Okay.
Go and design this page for me, just one page. I will load it now. I'll bring it up. I'll send it to the group also. Why is it hanging? Downloads. Okay, I think I downloaded this at the beginning of the class. Just before the class. It's loading. Okay, we want to design this. What you have on the screen. So you help me to use CSS to design this thing. Do you understand? Like exactly what you have on the screen, this picture. I will send it to the group so
This
that you
picture.
can
I'll
download
send it
it
to the group so that you
and
can
save it.
download it.
Okay,
So
sir.
how we stop
So,
recording now?
how was